After her friend's wedding, my wife tested positive for STD, so I filed for divorce. People definitely mean my life when they say one moment can transform your life. It's amazing how one piece of paper from my wife's purse altered my life. I, 37, married my college love 10 years ago. Before that, we dated for 6 years, making our entire relationship 16 years. Call her Dove. 37 women. I consider her my soulmate and college classmate. Indeed, she was. But Dove's friend's Las Vegas fairy tale wedding was a month ago. While invited to the wedding, I had a work emergency that week and skipped it. The week-long event was elaborate. After the wedding, Dove was abnormally silent. I inquired about her health. She said she was exhausted from the week-long wedding. I let her finish because it felt natural. When Dove became chilly towards me, it bothered me. She got quiet and annoyed at me. She ignored me and became upset during conversations. Our sex life was basically non-existent. She would snap at me and say she wasn't in the mood when I started. She returned from the wedding over a month ago. Nothing intimate happened between us. In addition, I found something in her purse yesterday, which made me concerned. It was hospital bill. After the wedding, Dove got an STD test the next day. Strange, right? What made her do that? Why didn't she tell me? It has an obvious meaning. I love her selflessly, but I won't ignore such a big red sign. I'm not ready to tell her my results. I needed entire STD test information first. I don't want to give her misinformation. Dove and my marriage are precious to me, and I wouldn't destroy them on impulse. I did my study on this topic and found this page where various men and women have shared their stories of their partners surreptitiously taking STD testing, usually related to cheating. I'm here to tell my story and see whether I'm overreading. I'm ashamed, but I accessed Dove's phone a few days ago. I checked her chat lists and call history but found nothing suspicious. It was clean too. Her social media account was clean too. I'm not sure if I should feel awful about doubting her or be proud of my alertness. I considered contacting Dove's wedding guests to see if anything weird happened. It was Dove's school friend's wedding, thus none of our college pals attended. I'm pals with her school classmate, but I can't ask them anything without Dove's knowing. The scenario is strange because Dove never made me mistrust her in 10 years of being together. We always communicated openly. The bill showed that she made the appointment the day after returning from the trip. Yesterday's test date was specified, yet the report is delivered a week later. From the moment Dove returned from the trip, her behavior worried me. Nothing was on her phone when I looked a few days ago. Dove looked fatigued and nervous when she arrived home yesterday after the test. I was suspicious when she neatly hid her bag in the wardrobe. She usually leaves it on the couch table. I pretended not to notice, but I watched her every move. I noticed the STD test hospital bill in her purse while she showered. Update 1. Hello everybody. After reading the responses on my post, I realized I didn't introduce myself or Dove. It didn't fit the post. However, I answered several remarks. Just for reference. Here are some facts. I graduated from college with Dove. We're software engineers for different firms. My son is 6. Financially, we were secure. Nice one. Before Dove ruined everything, we were a happy family. I got uneasy after finding Dove's purse's STD test bill. The comments on my last post and other victims' tales suggested one thing. Dove betrayed me. I wanted to wait until the test results were out before confronting, but I was suffocating. No more holding back. Dove saw my altered behavior. She asked me whether I was okay the day I posted, nodded and pretended to grin. She suspected I was retaliating for her rudeness. A day after my post, we ate dinner. Dove asked me again how I was doing as we ate. I nodded, but I couldn't resist asking, "How was your STD test?" She looked shocked at me. I reiterated, "That STD test you took a few days ago?" She paled and inquired how I found it. I said irrelevant. I can explain her most famous line. I addressed her directly and asked her to explain. I watched her carefully as she sighed and breathed deeply. She cried. She started crying, and my heart sunk. I realized my suspicions. Dove grasped my hand and said to trust her. I promised her I would trust her if she said anything, but she brought her chair closer, leant on my shoulder, hugged me, and cried. I released her feelings. Never left her, crying. I would cuddle and cheer her up even with small tears. I sat still by now. I didn't hug her back as she tried to hug me tighter. I sat frozen like a rock. She let go of my arms and confessed after crying for her friend's bachelor party. Her friend's week-long wedding festivities began with a bachelor trip to Vegas. The event manager booked strippers, male escorts, etc. So many new terms were introduced to me that day. She said the bride and her friends appreciated all the services from day one, but Dove refused. She refused her friend's pressure. She observed the bride and her friends having a blast with those escorts, fulfilling all their wishes. She controlled herself. Since Mom never lied, I trusted her narrative. But this time it was hard. Did she do it because she felt out of place? Her bride friend told her she needed new blood because she hadn't seen a guy in 16 years. Her companions described how these escorts gave them new sensations using numerous methods. No, Dove did not yield. A buddy urged her to get a private massage. Dove finally agreed to the massage under peer pressure. She assumed the massage wouldn't be cheating and she could avoid peer pressure. However, the masseur escorted. Her back massage was followed by full undressing. She refused, but he explained it was an intimate massage and she had to undress. She gave in after losing control during the personal massage. She cheated on me. This wasn't enough. After Dove informed her friends about the masseur, they encouraged her to investigate. They promised Dove that nothing would reach me and that everything would be discreet. Dove cheated on me thinking she had done it before, so resisting was pointless. Improved fantasy exploration was her goal. It was good that she told everything. I wouldn't forgive her even if she didn't once. I sat inert, trying to comprehend Dove's words. I knew my life would change. Since the woman in front of me was my life partner, her deception hurt me deeply. She urged me to speak, because I hadn't since she confessed. I hid my face in palms. I didn't let her hold my hand or elevate my face. I finally looked at her. I planned to divorce. She was horrified and advised me not to act rashly because we have a son. I yelled at her to quit pretending to care for our son and her family. If she cared about the family, she wouldn't have done what she did. Car keys in hand, I left the house. She tried to follow, but I ignored her. My friend lived alone, so I drove there. He recently divorced. That's another story. Drinking until I passed out. The next morning I called sick at work. Sitting on his couch, I searched for divorce lawyers while my friend went to work. I found a junior year lawyer. He got added to my Instagram, so I messaged him. He replied within 2 hours. I requested a call. He contacted me back within 30 minutes because my messages were urgent and desperate. His next appointment was 4 days away. He requested a late-night meeting after work since I knew him. I agreed easily. He offered to meet for a drink instead of calling me to his office. Last night, Dove admitted her adultery, and the next night I discussed my divorce with my lawyer. He suggested I sleep on my decision to calm my emotions. I tried her. I informed him of my deliberate choice. I told him my divorce terms. He promised to start paperwork quickly. I asked him to speed up the procedure because I want to finish quickly. Anyone who heard me would have thought I was impetuous. But I wasn't. Dove wasn't more important than self-respect. I told him I trusted Dove with my life, and that this decision is serious. I cannot tolerate her cheating. Next day, I went home in the afternoon. I expected her at work. But she was home. Only in recent days had she become miserable. When she spotted me, she ran to hug me and asked where I had been for 2 days and why I hadn't answered her calls and messages. I tried to shove her away, but she was too pale and fragile. Let her hug me without touching her. I stiffened. She kept apologizing, but I didn't care. My face was in her palms and prodded me to speak. She said my silence killed her. Asking about her son, she stated she dropped him off at my folks for a few days. I escaped and bolted my room. She wouldn't let me pack if I let her in. I left the house quickly with my laptop, tabs, clothes, and things while she was cooking. She tried to stop me outside, but I drove off without looking back. Hotel check-in. Then visited my parents to meet my son. I wanted to tell him everything, but I had another plan. Almost a week. I work from the hotel. My remote work permission is for this month. Dove attempted calling, texting, voicemailing, visiting my workplace, crashing my friend's apartment, and going to clubs and restaurants I frequented. I was phoned today by a mutual buddy to check on me. He said Dove searched the city for me. I inquired about her explanation. Anyone asks, he said. Dove claims I left the house after a heated confrontation. I claimed I'm safe but wanted time to calm down. I called my lawyer about the divorce papers a few hours ago. He promised to send me a ship within days, just waiting for the divorce papers. I'll update after this case is resolved. I took a while to edit this since I wanted to organize things first. This concludes my update. 10 days after D-Day, the divorce papers arrived. It was Saturday. I went home the next morning. Same problem. Dove lay motionless on the couch while my kid played in the living room. Since we hadn't seen one another in a week, he ran to hug me. This Dove was stiff. She didn't hug. Instead, her gaze was chilly. After a few minutes of playing with my son, I sat on the chair. Dove asked me what I wanted with a straight face. I smiled at her query without responding. She inquired what she could do to help. I kept silent. I know I damaged you and ruined everything, but I'm sorry, she said. I admit my crime was serious. But you must realize that I might have missed the STD test without you knowing. To protect you, I took a test and avoided sex. I adore you. Sorry for my actions. But you must also accept that I told the truth when I could have lied. Thus, we must resolve this issue rather than avoid it. Please let me know how I can help. I agreed. She should confess her infidelity to mine and her parents. Her gaze was serious. Said what? It's impossible, right? She breathed deeply and stated she would try anything to make me happy and content. I asked her to invite them tonight. After glancing at me for a few minutes and noticing the coldness in my eyes, she contacted her parents and mine one by one to invite them over. After the call, she looked defeated at me, had a shower, was browsing my iPad when she entered and said she had made lunch for us. Though I wanted to avoid it, I knew it would be our last family lunch. So I sat at the table. We ate together with her and my son. Seeing my son's face, I felt horrible since it was probably his last lunch with his parents. I'd be considered egotistical and chauvinist for wrecking my wonderful family over Dove's error. But I don't care what others think. I know my son will be grateful I chose self-respect above love and feelings. Instead of frustrated parents in a failed marriage, children need happy parents who may live apart. The moment Dove showed her legs to other guys ended our marriage. For afternoon sleep, Dove took her son to his room after lunch. I was scrolling my phone when she returned to our bedroom after putting him to sleep. Trying to touch me. I stopped her and inquired about STD reports. She stated she had confessed and touched me again, knowing it would be our last. Our most thrilling sex in a while. After we were done, I felt guilty, sad, and happy to be with her. Only she had been my partner in 16 years. It grieved me to think I would push her away forever, because I loved her. I regretted having sex with her since it would have given her hope of reconciliation. She dozed out on my arms like she hadn't slept in days. I saw her face, and pondered how she did this to us. I don't remember when I fell asleep admiring her face. Her son's door knock woke us. I let him in. He played with us on bed. It was joy. I felt like reversing my decision and giving my marriage another opportunity. I ignored it and left bed. Already evening. I waited in the living room for my parents and in-laws. While there, our parents were. After everyone calmed down, Dove called me into the kitchen and pointedly asked whether I wanted to do this. Yes, I said. She then informed everyone her confession outside. She admitted to cheating on me during her friend's wedding, but it didn't matter. She adored and would do everything for me. She said she had confessed to me and wanted her room to tell everyone. My folks assumed it was a hoax because it happened so fast. I said it wasn't a hoax and she hadn't confessed when I found the STD test bill in her purse. Her parents gazed down in shame and rage. Despite their disappointment, my parents didn't say anything. I informed everyone that I had filed for divorce. I took out the divorce papers and began reading the divorce agreement. I continued despite Dove's interruption. I offered her my house for her and my son while I left. I would pay my portion of the child's report and share custody of our son. After reading, I gave her the documents. She looked disgusted and stated I fooled her. She quickly signed the papers after looking over them. Her parents got up and went without saying a word. My parents departed. While departing, they asked if I wanted to live with them. Nodded, I'll see. Dove entered her son's room and locked it. She felt ashamed in front of her parents and in-laws and disheartened that all her confessions and humiliations were pointless. I fled the house with my remaining belongings. I knew Dove wouldn't let me meet my son. That's why she locked herself in his room. Dove stopped calling and texting after that evening. We were presented in court after 45 days and settled our divorce amicably without contest. After it, we parted ways without saying anything. The divorce was finalized over a week ago. I've been busy finding and settling into a house. We may meet because of our son, but only briefly. Knowing I hurt her leaves me empty and frustrated. Embarrassed her. Maybe we both got what we deserved.